Action.
Damn, it's happening again. It's okay, calm down. I can do this. At a certain point in his life, moments like these were common for Chris Evans. In his early 20s and alone in a new city trying to make it as an actor, with every rejection and failed audition, the pressure kept building. Chris Evans' greatest enemy wasn't a comic book villain. It was his own mind, which kept him from focusing and performing the way he needed to. But even after having an established career, he still struggled with panic attacks and anxiety crises, and often preferred stepping into a scripted role rather than facing the real-life problems of his own. In this video, you'll understand the anxiety crises Chris Evans faced during his acting journey, how they almost kept him from becoming Captain America, and how he fought his own mind to finally find inner peace. I'm Gabriel Alves, and you're watching Superhero Journal. For a kid who grew up in the suburbs of Boston, becoming an actor is probably the last thing anyone would expect. Chris's hometown is known for being a college hub, offering a high quality of life, and having a strong presence of tech companies, some of the best hospitals in the country, and a wide range of industries. It's no wonder that among his friends, he's the only one with an artistic career. But that's largely thanks to his family as well. Even though his father was a dentist, his mother was an artistic director and still works at a local theater in Boston to this day. She was the one who nurtured Chris's love for the arts, as well as that of his 5 siblings. When he was 13, he watched his older sister Carly perform on stage and was absolutely mesmerized. Wait a minute, we sit in the audience, and she gets to sing, she gets to dance, she gets to do all this stuff, and then afterwards she gets candy and flowers, and we take her out to dinner. I want to do this. A few months later, Carly took him to his first audition at the Concord Youth Theater, and that's when she realized he had real talent. He did a few school plays, and by the time he was 17, he had made up his mind. He was going to leave high school and move to New York to follow his dream of becoming an actor. It was a risky plan, but even with heavy hearts, his parents and siblings supported him. Of course, it wouldn't be easy. It wasn't until the year 2000 that he landed his first role in a Hollywood movie. But during those 2 years of trying, Chris played it smart. In the acting world, networking is key to landing jobs, so he enrolled in an acting school, the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute, and since he needed to survive, he found a job that not only paid the bills but also helped him move closer to his goal. He worked at a casting agency, starting out as an intern, and that helped him a lot. He got to meet actors, agents, and producers all in one place. Chris paid close attention to how things worked behind the scenes, especially when it came to how actors were chosen.
You come into your job on a Monday after there's, an audition goes out. So you show up at your desk and you got a stack of envelopes from all these agents in town.
Headshots. And
Yeah. And your boss comes in and she would pluck out 2 or 3 envelopes and I threw the rest in the trash. She just chucked them and you're just like, wow, this industry is brutal.
But even though the industry was brutal, Chris managed to land a good agent and signed on for his first major movie in 2001, playing Jake Weiler in Not Another Teen Movie. He had made his film debut a year earlier with a small role in The Newcomers, but this was his first big part, and he was excited that it was a parody of the teen romance films from the 80s and 90s that he had grown up watching. The atmosphere on set was really fun. Since the script was pure comedy, full of absurd moments, it was hard not to laugh during every scene they filmed. Director Joel Gallen made sure each of the lead actors had at least one embarrassing scene in the movie, and for Chris, that meant filming a nude scene with only whipped cream covering his private parts. Up until that point, Evans was living a happy, lighthearted, and fun life, but everything changed when things started getting more serious. Suddenly, Chris no longer saw himself as a teenager, but as an adult trying to build something solid, both in his career and in his personal life. And after failing over and over again, his mind started playing tricks on him. Chris Evans found out that an aspiring actor's career could be extremely unstable. Sometimes an actor can go months without work, and often even years. It's especially frustrating when you've had a bit of success early on, only for things to suddenly slow down. In his case, it was nearly 3 years of trying, and getting rejected at auditions. What used to be fun had turned into a nightmare. At first, he was confident. He felt like he was doing well in auditions, and that it was only a matter of time. But it didn't take long for Chris to start questioning whether he was actually good at it.
Probably had much bigger balls then than I do now. Now I sit, terrified before auditions. And man, I feel like I forget how to act. And you're on shaky ground every time you step in a room.
The pressure came, and with it came anxiety and a drop in performance. With every audition he did, he walked out more convinced that he wouldn't be chosen. Not just for that role, but for any role in the future. There was one time Evans had a panic attack in the middle of an audition. He started sweating and turning red. He apologized to everyone and said he needed to stop, but they were kind to him and told him he was actually doing well. He stepped into the hallway, took a deep breath, and told himself he could do it. But when he went back in, the same thing happened. He left the audition feeling ashamed. A few days later, his agent arranged a third attempt, and again, the same anxiety, the same panic attack. Thankfully, Chris Evans didn't give up. He kept going to auditions, pushing through the fear, until finally, a director saw something in him and decided to take a chance on his talent. And from that moment on, he's never gone a year without work. Being finally accepted in auditions helped him relax. In 2004, he gave a great audition that landed him the role of the Human Torch in the 2005 Fantastic Four movie. Suddenly, life was good and colorful again. He had fulfilled his childhood dream of becoming a major actor in a big movie. He had financial stability, and he was in a long-term relationship with the woman he planned to marry and start a family with one day. But as life always has its ups and downs, the following year, everything changed. His relationship ended, his anxiety came back, and even though his career was on the rise, he still needed to find himself, emotionally and spiritually. Chris tried to find the answers he was looking for in Buddhism. Inspired by the book Siddhartha, he traveled to Rishikesh, India for a 3-week spiritual retreat. And after trekking through the Himalayas, camping by the banks of the Ganges, and meditating for days, when he finally had the chance to ask the questions he had carried with him, the spiritual master of the village simply told him to be quiet. It was incredibly frustrating because he genuinely had good questions, but no matter how many times he tried, the master would always just respond with a shh. So Chris returned to the United States and began to process all the experiences and lessons he had taken in. It took some time, but eventually he embraced that shh as his personal philosophy of life. Evans came to understand what the Buddhist master was trying to teach him. He was a restless young man, full of doubts, fears, and desires that he eventually recognized as illusions, products of his ego. From then on, he created a new way of living, not based on the advice of a book or the teachings of a guru, but on who he truly was, rather than what his ego wanted. Instead of drowning in questions and overthinking, he began meditating daily, in search of an empty mind and a life lived in the present moment. Instead of chasing bigger and bigger roles to become a massive Hollywood star or an awards darling, Evans focused his career on indie films, working with creative and talented people he could collaborate with to tell meaningful stories. Instead of living permanently in Los Angeles, he bought a home in Boston, close to his family and friends, where he would spend his time whenever he wasn't filming. And so, his life unfolded in a calm, peaceful, and grounded way, until one day, a massive offer landed on his desk. A multi-million-dollar Marvel contract for 9 films, and the role of one of the biggest heroes in the Marvel universe. I believe any actor would be thrilled to receive an offer to play Captain America in 9 films. No audition required, with a paycheck that increased with each movie, but that's not how Chris felt. In fact, he turned the offer down right away. He had finally found himself in life, finally figured out how he wanted to shape his career. He was comfortable and in control, and the Marvel offer meant losing that control. If the movies performed as well as expected, Chris would become an international star, he'd lose his privacy, and his family's life would change too. Sometime later, Marvel came back with a counteroffer, this time a 6-film deal, which didn't make much of a difference to him. He declined again. Just thinking about it was enough to trigger his anxiety, so he turned to his family and friends for advice. Some told him to take the role, but his family, especially his mother, encouraged him to see a therapist to help him work through the conflict. In therapy, Chris was able to open up about all the fears and concerns he had, and eventually, he realized that the thing he feared most might just be the thing he needed to do. Robert Downey Jr. also gave him a call, offering some words of encouragement and urging him to join Marvel. That gave him more confidence in the decision to say yes to the role, one that would end up changing his life for the better. He spent 10 years being part of a big family, receiving love from millions of fans, gaining visibility that opened doors to incredible projects he likely wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and finding joy in using his platform to support social causes and help people in vulnerable situations. At first it was uncomfortable. On set and during interviews, Chris was still adjusting to this new world. In many interviews, he'd get irritated with certain things. He didn't understand why reporters kept asking the same questions all day, and he hated the sensationalist headlines taken out of context. Looking back, it's interesting how honest he always was about how he felt. And the truth is, he wasn't in love with Captain America at first, but in the end, that changed. He finished his Marvel contract with a perfect character arc and with a deep love for the role. Today, Chris says that taking the part was the best decision of his life, and that nothing will ever top the incredible years he spent with Marvel.
It's powerful being on set with these people. It's been almost a 10-year journey. I couldn't imagine a better group of people to be sharing this ride with. I have a really deep sense of gratitude and joy, but it is because of this journey.
Hey, Chris, we wish you were here, dude. We love you, Evans.
We've got all the Chris we need, buddy, so enjoy wherever the fuck you are.
Chris Evans got married in September 2023 to Luso-Brazilian actress Alba Baptista in a private ceremony attended by his family, friends, and fellow Avengers cast members. Since leaving Marvel, he's taken on roles that require a different acting range after spending years playing the same character. With the payment from the first Captain America film, Chris funded the construction of a new theater in his hometown, and these days, he's heavily involved with the organization Christopher's Haven, which provides housing and support for families of children undergoing cancer treatment. He also frequently visits hospitals dressed as Captain America to spend time with the kids and their families. Apparently, he's set to appear in the next Avengers movie, which will also feature Robert Downey Jr. as the villain, so it seems the classic actors are returning for one more journey. Do you think Chris Evans is the ultimate Captain America? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. Just like Chris struggled with anxiety, other Marvel actors have also faced the pressure of being a superhero, like Tom Holland, who, at a very young age, turned to alcohol to cope with his anxiety, and ended up developing an addiction because of it. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.